All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today, we have a very special guest with us. We have Kuauhtli Vasquez, who's going to be leading a retreat with me in March of this next year for the equinox. So I thought it'd be a good idea to have him come on, share a little bit about his story, a little bit about the traditions that he's worked in, and how this entire path of the medicine work has shaped his life. And I hope you guys will really enjoy it because it's quite a fascinating, interesting individual, and I have thoroughly enjoyed sitting with him in ceremony and getting to know him over the past year. And I think you guys are all going to enjoy it too. So, Kuauhtli, thank you so much for joining me today, and welcome.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you, Taylor.
Well, hey, so I think where I'd really want to start is is how you kind of came into the peyote road, like how you came into the peyote path. And if you kind of want to start there, we can kind of riff and see what comes up.
Okay, sure. Well, uh, my ancestry is from Mexico and Texas, native people from these regions. And in both of those regions, peyote grows naturally. In northern Mexico, particularly the state of San Luis Potosí, and also in Texas, in the southern part, kind of the Rio Grande Valley, what they call. So that's where my mother's side is from the Rio Grande Valley, and my father's side is from San Luis Potosí. So when I was old enough to start traveling by myself, um, I had already gone to the university a few years, and then I started traveling, hitchhiking, and just roaming around the continent. And I made it to where my grandfather was born in San Luis Potosí, Matehuala. And I didn't know, but this is one of the, I guess you could call it like a mecca for people that use the peyote for religious purposes in Mexico. So when I was there, I happened to run into some people that had just come from a ceremony, and they had some peyote, and they were like, "Have you ever had this before?" And I was like, "No." I heard about it, I mean, I read Carlos Castaneda and all that stuff. And of course, it was like back in those days where there was a lot of like the hippie culture, people getting
Yeah,
high. So peyote was
yeah.
one of those plants that were kind of on the radar. So I had heard about it, and so we did a ceremony, and I was about 19. I was traveling by myself, and wow, when I had experienced that for the first time, it was such a big impact. It totally changed my life, my perspective on life, and my how can you say my future plans. Everything started like morphing into a more, I guess you could say, harmonious, a little more healthy, more, yeah, um, more loving, if you want to say it this way. Yeah, more
Yeah.
compassionate. Yeah, everything started changing along those lines. So I made it my way back to Texas, and I was looking for people that were doing the peyote ceremonies. And as a native in Texas, Texas, there's not very many native reservations. I don't know if you know this. In fact, the whole idea in Texas was not to make reservations. So anyway,
Yeah.
some people contacted me because we have a dance group and a native dance group, and they go, "Would you like to be a representative for the native people since there wasn't very many reservations at the United Nations in
Mm.
Geneva at the Human Rights Council? We're going to present some demands regarding the treaties and decolonization and these things." So I said, "Okay." I wasn't an activist. So when I went to Geneva, I met all these people from north and south, all the way from Chile, all the way to Alaska, and some of those people were from Arizona, and they were familiar with the peyote tradition, what you would call the Native American church, which is another form of praying with the peyote, different than Mexico. And so I met those guys, and I really liked them. And then they were like, "Well, come to a ceremony." So I went to a ceremony, and then I liked it so much that I moved to Arizona.
Okay.
And yeah, because in Arizona there's 21 reservations, and most of those guys all eat peyote, you know.
Yeah.
So I moved there, and I stayed there for about 4 or 5 years till I got kind of immersed into the Native American church culture.
Was this in your
And
like early 20s, early mid 20s?
it was late 20s by that time.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, around that time. And then so then I kept meeting people from Mexico, from what you would call the Huirarica people. That's
Yeah,
their name. Some people call them Huichol. I think that was a Spanish misnomer.
it was.
But yeah, so the Huiraricas uh, started coming to my house in Texas, and
Mm,
we were having ceremonies. So I started learning from, I guess, from the best of both worlds, you know?
totally.
Yeah, because every October and every February, the Native American church would have gatherings in Texas where they call the Peyote Gardens, which is basically the area where peyote grows, Miranda City. And so I started going to these gatherings, October, February, like this, because it's when they come to collect the medicine. And yeah, it was I met a lot of the what you call the leadership of the Native American church.
Mm,
And so between the Native American church and the Wiraricas that were coming to my house, and I was going with them to Mexico, I learned a lot about the ceremonies, you know. And that's so now what I do is kind of like a fusion of both, you know.
I that was my experience with you on that ceremony last year was a beautiful fusion that followed kind of the core formula of the ceremony, but it was just this own like beautiful flowering of like your own artistic take.
Yeah, I mean, everyone really has their own way of doing ceremonies. I mean, I
Sure.
know, yeah, and each I guess you could say each nation, each Native American church chapter, each Maracame, they all have their own style, their own prayers, their own songs. So yeah, it's always different. I think it's
And
always different. Mm.
it is. It's been interesting, you know, because this past year I've sat with a couple different roadmen, a Dene roadman. Um, you know, I've started been going out to Texas and sitting with Rudy as well. So I'm like learning more about the Mexica way of doing it. But and then there's even like Chief Freddie that I've had the pleasure of sitting with, and I've noticed, you know, they all kind of bring in a lot of their own personal culture and what's been instrumental in their path, but then also really keeping it centered on like that core tradition that's there. And just from like going down and working with Don Prisciliano down in Tepic, it's like you can see the variations of it, but at the essence, it's still the same.
That's exactly right, Taylor. Yeah, I mean, you have the medicine, you have the fire, you have the water prayers. You know, that's the core. You know, touch Mother Earth, pray to Mother Earth. You know, some people use tobacco. Most people use tobacco,
Yeah.
cedar, copal. You know, and yeah, and then that's kind of like the foundation. And I don't know how much your participants are aware of the ceremony, but if you want to get into details or the medicine or anything, I'm happy to expound on any of those
Yeah,
points.
I'd love to share a little bit about the ceremony so that there's at least a context, because this personally what I have found is that there's it feels like, because I live here in LA, and there's a lot of ayahuasca, a lot of bufo. There's just like those, a lot of mushroom ceremonies, but the peyote traditions seem to be insulated, I would say, a little bit more, and people have an idea about the medicine because of Castaneda's books, or some of these other documentaries that they've seen and things like that. I had a friend actually be like, "Oh yeah, I saw this guy Hamilton, on TV," and I'm like, "Yeah, so the guy he was sitting with is actually going to be the one running the ceremony." So it's like, so it's like people have an idea, but they don't. There's not like a clear picture for what it is. So why don't we first start with like what you've seen the medicine actually do to transform and shift people's consciousness, open their hearts, like in their life, and then also maybe share a little bit about like how that was instrumental in your path and why you decided to work with that medicine for so many years.
Sure. Yeah. Well, see, I was involved with the civil rights movement, the human rights movement, the ecological movement. Like, I think we were the first people to use that word ecology back in those days. I don't think anybody had ever said the word ecology. And, it was like nobody was really worried about the ecology. But I was working in the agriculture industry as a farm worker. And
Hmm.
there was a man named Cesar Chavez who came to where we were working and explained that they were spraying pesticides on basically on the fields and on us.
Yeah,
Sometimes
yeah, yeah,
the planes would go by the next field or wherever, and we were getting contaminated.
yeah.
And he came to warn us about that. And he also, I went to some of his talks and he was talking about how the seeds, this was back in the 60s,
Yeah.
1960s,
Way
68,
before
67.
GMO was even like, a common
Yeah.
word.
No, I'm telling you, people were just eating whatever.
Yeah.
And of course, the food industry had control of all the regulations, as most of these regulating bodies are. They're usually governed by the actual industries that they're supposed to be
Yeah.
governing.
Totally.
So, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
anyway,
I do. Yeah, yeah. It's
yeah.
it's like it's madness to me how like insane, you know, the capitalist political machine like really is, you know.
Well, at that point things got really hot, in the 60s, and of course there was a lot of repression. So the police started kind of, I guess you say the police state, because they really tried to repress this civil rights movement. And of
Sure.
course they forced a lot of people to kind of take a defensive posture, like kind of, I guess you would say, um, yeah, paramilitary groups, kind of like the Black Panthers, the Brown Berets, the Chicano Liberation Front, all these, AIM, all of these
Yeah.
organizations started like defending themselves.
Sure.
And things got really hot. And I actually went to Mexico because I was looking for a little. I was like a refugee from the violence in the United States, because there was so much going on, the AIM
Yeah.
movement, and around 19. This was actually around 1973 when Wounded Knee took
Yep.
place. I don't know if you're, yeah. So
I
that's
do.
when I went to
Yeah.
that's when I went to Mexico, because it was so hot.
Got it.
People were getting, and I was involved. I was one of the leaders in the activist movement for
Yeah.
native rights and Chicano rights, and so I said I better get out of the country.
Yeah. They
So
were
that's what,
they were they were just taking
yeah.
people, anyone with long hair. One of my one of the Lakota elders that I work with, David Swallow, has told me a lot of these stories. I went and spent a couple weeks in Pine Ridge over the summer, and he was telling a lot of these stories about what happened.
Hmm.
How when the FBI agent got shot, how they were just starting to come into the reservations, and anybody with long hair or any association with aim, they would just pick up, arrest without any cause or warrant or anything along those lines.
Exactly. So just for to kind of as my own self-preservation, I just went to Mexico, and of course I had this whole mentality about, I was even looking for like the extreme left groups in Mexico. I was looking to
Okay.
join them. You know what I mean? Because there was the
Yeah.
student movement, all this. It was well, anyway. When I ate the peyote, it like changed my perspective. It was like
Yeah.
violence is not the answer, you know.
Yeah.
And you can change the political system, but are the hearts of the people going to change?
Right.
You know. And so I started seeing beyond what you would call the immediate conflict.
Yeah.
And it really helped me to, as a young man, to kind of redirect my life because I think a lot of my friends, like I have really close friends that died in all of that, and were incarcerated and all that. And I actually saved myself from either a violent death or it's incarceration.
Sure.
And so anyway, I I went back to Texas, like I said, and then I met up with the Native American church. And what I found was that I was able to, in my own personal, um, I don't want to talk too much about myself, but I would just say that growing up in the United States as a Chicano, you will suffer discrimination and exploitation and a lot of these
Yeah.
things invariably, and of course it creates a lot of disdain and you get kind of bitter and revengeful and all this and the
Of
peyote
course.
just it started getting rid of all of this stuff. In fact, when I went to Mexico, 'cause I was going to Mexico, I went 5 years to Cuicatl because that's what they told
Hmm.
me I needed to do.
Yeah.
And on the fifth year, they asked me, well, why are you coming here? The medicine, the deers that asked me. And I said, well, I would like to take the peyote around the world, and help people, help the world, And they were like, okay, well, you have to do some things. And one of the things they told me I had to do was I had to go to Europe and run ceremonies for the Europeans
Okay. Okay.
as as part of my preparation for if I wanted to go around the world, I had to go do that first.
Yeah.
And and kind of basically forgive whoever or whatever for whatever happened.
Yeah.
And so this is one of the things that peyote does for most people. Like I've seen some of my, um, I guess you could say closest associates, because a lot of people they adopt me as uncle or dad or something like this. We become like relatives in this tradition.
Yeah.
And I could say some of my nephews, some of my daughters, they went through a lot of abuse, and
Yeah.
you know, and they were able to overcome these traumatic experiences in their life and completely turn all that around into, making it into more like a motivation or an impetus to transform their lives into more loving, productive, and yeah, healthy lives.
Yeah.
And I've seen that a lot. I've also seen people that are depressed um, because of life situation. Somebody told me there's more mental illness patients in the United States than there actually is like cancer
I,
or any other illness.
I I believe it. I mean, it's like this generation. It's that's like the main thing that they want to prescribe. Medications for anxiety,
Yeah,
depression, just all this stuff that's like not natural to the human spirit.
exactly. And peyote's good for this.
It's
I use no
it's amazing for it.
it's for curing it, and I can explain a little bit further about it because I mean I've done a little research. I mean I've only been eating peyote for about 50 years, doing ceremonies for about 35 or so. But I don't claim to be an expert or nothing. But what I've noticed is that the chakras are associated with your glands, with your endocrine system. If
Correct.
in And your hormones that are produced by this endocrine system usually are the cause of depression, anxiety, and all of this because either they're producing too much, you get anxiety, or you're not producing enough and you get
Yeah.
depressed.
Right.
Somehow the molecules, the alkaloids that are in peyote, one of those 52 alkaloids, which mescaline is one of them, and peyote is one of them. Those are two of the names, but they have a whole list of them, and some of them haven't even been identified or studied. But it has this whole array of alkaloids that go into the molecular structure of your cells,
Yep.
and actually supercharge them, or okay, I say supercharge. What they do is they boost them or modify them to where they start functioning properly.
Yeah. It,
So, and
it's like a
yeah,
recalibration effect.
that's what I see. That's what I
Yeah.
see. And I can, of course, I have enough cases to prove this, over the years that I've been doing ceremonies, just actual people that I know that have gotten rid of their pharmaceutical medicines, or
Yeah.
drugs, whatever you want to call them,
Yeah.
that have been trying to replace the natural hormones that the people are lacking. And this is one big benefit of the peyote as far as health and mental uh, restoration.
It feels to me like it kind of scrubs away the toxins, the and when I say this, I don't just mean this on the physiological level, but it's like on the emotional, energetic, mental level as well. It like clears a lot of that, a lot of the substances that are causing the distortion of your own being, the distortion of reality, and it returns you to that like innocent state, that like natural state of being.
That's a good way to describe it. Um, I think one thing that happens in the ceremony actually is that people reconnect with the natural elements that are the foundations for life: the water, the air, the earth, and the fire, that are essential for, that's what's going through your veins, these
Yep.
elements.
Yep.
The water, the air, the food, and the fire. This is what's going through your veins. This is what's keeping us alive every day, every
Yeah.
moment, every second, with every breath. And lots of times people disconnect from this. They
Sure.
just like they don't like I say, kiss the sun or touch the earth, or when they drink water, they don't even say thank you or take a shower or whatever. They just start taking everything for granted, even the breath.
Yeah.
Everything is just taken for granted, and there's no appreciation, no gratitude, and people get into this unnatural state of being. And what the peyote does, the hikuri, if you want to call it hikuri, we can call it by other names, pejuta, they have a lot of names, um, kayumari. This spirit opens your heart and increases your perception,
Yeah.
and your whole understanding. It expands it and it recenters it. It's like when you push recenter on the GPS.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, where am I supposed to be going? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, the natural way of life. It puts you in a natural way of life. And one thing that I've noticed is that it's people that are addicted to alcohol, marijuana, cocaine, heroin, pornography, drama, whatever, they have like
Yeah.
an addicted personality to things like this. Somehow the peyote helps them to, like you said, recalibrate, if you want to use that word, but it helps them to reassess their actions. Like,
Yeah.
what am I doing? Like, it's a mirror. It shows you what
Yeah.
you're doing. It's like a truth serum. It says, what are you doing to yourself? What are you
Yeah.
doing to other people? It
Yeah.
makes you aware. It increases your awareness. I think this is a good word. In fact, so much so that sometimes people ask me, what do I call myself? Like a shaman or a roadman. And I just tell them, I call myself aware.
Yeah.
because I think it's important to emphasize this
Yeah.
awareness, awareness of what you're doing, how you're living, and you know, um, and also what your, I guess you could say, plans or visions or ideas,
Yeah.
prayers, what all of this, it reassesses your, like I said, it kind of reassesses where you're going. That's what it did to me. I was like very violent when I was young because I was reacting. I
Yeah.
was reacting to the repression. The
Yeah.
peyote told me, no, no, you're gonna get hurt. You're gonna hurt people. You might kill somebody. Luckily, I never did.
Yeah.
You might hurt somebody. You're gonna get hurt. Look at your friends are getting hurt left and right. It made me realize that that's not the way.
Right.
And now I can go to Israel or to Colombia or to the cartels wherever, and I can talk to them. You know, I can talk to the
Yeah.
Palestinians. I can talk to Israelis. I've done ceremonies over there in Israel with the
Wow.
Palestinians and the Israelis. I used to go to Nicaragua with the where the Contras. I mean, because you have a vision that it's
Yeah.
possible to live in peace. It's
Yep.
possible to forgive. It's possible to make humanity one again, you know, because we're all one. We're
Yeah.
all just one people, There's no races, there's no borders, This is all imagination, of
It's
somebody's
all
incorrect
manufactured.
imagine.
It's just manufactured.
Somebody's
Yeah.
trying to sell you this idea, It's just like the
Exactly.
consumerism, man. They want you to buy into that, man.
Yeah. And so uh, with your travels internationally, what what do you see is like what do you really see as possible for bringing this medicine to the masses? Do you personally do you see that as part of the vision? Because for me, the two medicines that I've really worked with extensively have been the mushroom and peyote. I've never sat with ayahuasca. I just it hasn't really naturally come about just yet. And so what I really see personally is like I believe that peyote is like the blood of life in a lot of ways, and the way that it opens the heart to that jewel. And I personally believe that peyote is like the medicine that can change all of humanity. And I don't know if that's just my own personal confirmation bias because of like what I've seen it's done for me personally. But I really see it as like when I even just look at the medicine, how it grows in families, how the mythological or the animals that are associated with it, these are like familial creatures. The deer, the way it moves and roams and goes around, it's almost like the medicine has this impulse to travel and to reconnect people back into that familial relationship as like one people. And so that's personally what I see, and I'm just curious what your own perspective on that is.
Well, my own personal experience after traveling to 40 different countries and hundreds of cities. Like in each country, I go to various cities. So if you say 40 countries, but then, like in the UK, I go to London, Sussex, Cornwall. Australia, the same thing. You say Australia, but then I go to Melbourne, Perth, Cairns,
Yeah.
Gold Coast, also like this, Canada, same. I go all over Canada. So what I've seen is that it does rehumanize people. I'll use that term.
Yeah, I like that.
And I can't claim to have invented that word because a good friend of mine came up with that term. He said, "Look, if you look in the dictionary, there's a word that calls dehumanize. It's in the dictionary."
Yep.
He goes, "But why don't they have rehumanize? If you look in the dictionary, there's no word called rehumanize."
I haven't noticed that.
Yeah, he is the one that pointed it out to me. And I go, well, the peyote is what rehumanizes people.
Sure.
Yeah, recently I was in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, and
Yeah.
they have a lot of resources that were acquired through the petroleum industry.
Yeah.
But as we know, the petroleum industry is has a limited trajectory.
Yeah.
It's basically unsustainable. Eventually it's gonna, yeah. So
Yeah.
what they're doing is they're divesting, diverting, developing other technologies, and they wanted us to have a ceremony with some of these people there to kind of get some guidance on which direction to take their economies,
Yeah.
because yeah, you need creativity. Peyote helps your creativity.
Yeah. Big time.
Because, you see, it's all scientific. The more you perceive, the more you can understand, the more you can know. And the more you know, the more you can imagine.
Yeah.
And then as you imagine things, things start coming into your field.
Yep.
If you could never imagine, like somebody said, well, how do you think they made the Egyptian pyramids? I go, well, maybe
Sound.
they had, yeah, sound. Maybe they had a big magnifying crystal and they just cut. You know how you can use a
Yeah.
magnifying
Yeah.
glass,
Yeah. Like a laser. Totally.
like
Totally.
totally, because they're so precision, so and sound and. But if you don't know what sound is, or if you don't know what laser, then how can you even imagine it? So this is the
Right.
same thing in any industry, in any field. The more you can understand and perceive about something, the more you can know, the more you can imagine. And this is the direct result of the creative mind, the creative
Mm.
spirit,
Mm-hmm.
which we're all endowed with.
Yeah.
It's just the peyote awakens it, your creative
Yeah.
spirit, your creative mind. I've seen people, musicians, artists, whatever field you're in. I mean, it could be even your own livelihood, but they eat
Yeah.
peyote and things start happening for them
Yeah.
because peyote also gives you energy.
Big time.
See, yeah, see, every person has a certain amount of energy, which is equivalent to your vibrational influence into the field.
Yeah.
And peyote gives you energy. You're vibrating at a higher frequency. And the higher frequencies that you're vibrating at, are attracting and sending, and so your world transforms,
Yeah.
and more things, more good things start happening for you.
There has to be energy in order to actually have this physiological transformation. And there also has to be energy so that you can be more open and aware of what's possible. And the way that I have experienced working with peyote is that it's almost like supercharging you with like liquid light is like kind of what it feels like or looks like to me. And it's this like crystalline radiance that just seems to permeate your entire consciousness, your entire physical body. And it feels very high, like very, um, I don't know a better word to say it. Like it just feels very radiant, very clean, very pure. And the thing that I have seen, and again, I don't know if this is my own confirmation bias, but it seems like it has a natural tendency to want to express outwardly and create and like reorient your attention to the physical manifestation of life. And it it it's almost like it's reconnecting you with that pure life force that that is Earth, that is like the natural world, and that I feel is what when people are disconnected from that, that's where all the disease, that's where all of the, all of the things that either bring us down or cause this sickness in our life to occur. And so I guess my question here is like, what do you, in comparative to like other medicines, what do you see as like peyote really, like how do you see it really being different in the way that it actually works in your life, from an outward expression, or from like a reconnecting you with the outward manifestation of life versus, I don't know, maybe others that take you more deeper inwards?
Yeah, peyote is a plant that has various qualities naturally, just
Yeah,
uh, just if you observe the plant itself,
sure.
and it has an uncanny ability to survive in
Mm,
uh, with okay, let's look at it. Let's look at a peyote button. Okay, it has a root about this long, and then it has a button on top, right? You've probably seen them. Okay,
yeah.
so if you cut the top of the plant off, which is the part that you eat, usually, okay, this part will survive for months without contact with the earth, without water. Sometimes I even put them in boxes, and they just stay alive. They're very
Yeah,
resilient.
totally.
And then
Yeah, yeah.
when I finally realized I had them in there, I take them out, I put them on the earth, and scrape the ground a little bit, give some water, and it starts creating more roots.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, the root that stayed in the ground, where it had one button, now it starts producing three, maybe four buttons.
yeah.
So instead of one, now it has four. You cut it and it kind of multiplies.
Fractalizes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if you notice this about the plant, it gives you an idea of what its properties are and how it's going to help you, how it's going to benefit you. Um, the other thing is if you have a particular programming. Okay, let's say you're Christian or you're Muslim or you're scientific or you believe in UFOs or maybe you believe in spirits. Whatever your orientation is, it's going to connect to that and
mm,
project images to you that are going to be in your level of understanding.
sure.
I knew a scientist, German scientist, well, I know him, he's my good friend. When he came, he's all into frequency. He has these machines that hook you up and it checks all your frequencies of all your organs, and then wherever on the machine one of your organs, he then reconnects you and sends the right frequency to help your organs, whichever one is. And he's all about vibration and frequencies, and he makes these little things you can put them like this, and it'll heal you. And when he came
Yeah.
to the peyote meeting, he was feeling all. He
All
said
the
it was so.
vibration.
Yeah, he was feeling all the vibrations that he felt like a lightning bolt hit him.
Yeah.
During the ceremony, when he felt the energy, he said a lightning bolt hit him. He actually fell back, and I said, "Are you all right?" He said, "I just got struck by lightning." I go, "Well, I didn't hear the thunder, but it's like this. It's an
Yeah.
energy. It's a
Yeah.
real energy." And of course, he's in tune with all this stuff. So
He's sensitive to it all.
in
Yeah.
fact, he came to the ceremony, and he has machines to measure the frequencies in this. He captures them, and he actually made like a little. I don't know. You probably understand more about it, but you can actually put it on something, and it has the frequency of a peyote ceremony.
Whoa. That's cool. That's super cool.
Because it's an
Man.
actual. See, now people are understanding that energy is the essence of understanding physics. The
Yeah.
wavelengths and the vibrations and the light, like you say, the light. So what peyote helps you is to perceive this. What the scientists are now saying exists, and they're measuring with instruments, electronic instruments. The peyote can give you the ability to do that in a natural way.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you're interested in helping people, sometimes through the vibration of your heart,
Yeah.
you can actually feel the vibration of another person's heart.
Totally.
I think there's scientific names for all of this. I don't want to say something I might not pronounce it right, but there's actual science that measures the vibration of your heart frequency.
Yeah.
And when you're in a ceremony, everybody comes so aware of it that everybody's heart is vibrating at a higher level
Yep.
of intensity that the whole ceremony just lifts up,
Yeah.
in terms of frequency,
Yeah.
vibration. And then everybody's benefiting. So if you come to a ceremony, you should come prepared to kind of, how can you say, relinquish anything that's holding you back, like low vibration, negative energy, negative thoughts, negative emotion. Come prepared to disassociate yourself with all of that.
Yeah.
All, like your book of karma, you could just put it in the fire, just burn
Totally.
it.
Yeah.
And plan on kind of refreshing your energy with the natural
Yeah.
elements, with the fire, with the water, because we're going to be praying to them. We're going to be asking them to help all of us. And then when humans share an experience, it multiplies the effect on each individual.
Yep.
See, if you go into your room and you meditate and you eat peyote, undoubtedly you're going to have a beautiful experience.
Sure.
But if you do it in a group, or let's say inclusively, if you do
Yeah.
it in a group, the effect is going to be like magnified, multiplied
Yep. Totally.
geometrically. Yeah. So this is why ceremonies are good, because the ancient people, the ancestors, made a construct which we follow, which is harnessing the energy of the earth, the water, the fire, the air. I keep repeating that because it's like the fundamental of the
It's
ceremony.
it's the whole thing.
It's the whole thing. And how do we do it? With songs, with
Yep.
vibrations, with music, with
Yep.
dancing. Music, singing, and dancing are two of the highest forms of expressing love and gratitude for your life.
Yeah.
And this is what we do in the ceremony. We sing, we dance, and then verbalizing your intentions, verbalizing your visions, verbalizing your desires for not only yourself, but for your loved ones, for the earth, for the humanity. All of this is a way to really connect to the source
Yeah.
because you're being guided now by the spirit of life, by
Yep.
the energy of creation. And
Yeah.
it comes into the different parts of your body.
Yeah.
It comes into your brain, your heart, and also your we call it nidika, your gut, your tantien, however
Yeah.
you have different form. So now you're connecting, you're
Yeah.
feeling, you're expanding your creation, you're singing, you're dancing with other people. Man, by the time you get out in the morning and they give you a flower blessing and you go to the river or the ocean and you
Yeah.
give these and it's like you've just like done a total reset, overhaul.
You're reborn. Yeah. Totally reborn. Yeah. It's that was something that was something I noticed the first time that I went to a tipi ceremony. So I had the the Yaqui medicine man that I do my vision quests with down in Mexico. He was actually married to Maria Sabina long, long time ago. They had a child together. He's 111 now, and when he was in his youth, he went down to Oaxaca and he met this young Maria Sabina, and so they exchanged medicines, and she taught him about the mushroom, and he passed on to her this smoking blend that came from his mother's, I'm sorry, from his father's tradition. His father was actually a seer for General Zapata during that time, and so he came from this long Yaqui medicine, more on the sorcery kind of seer side of things. But so they exchanged medicines, and she taught him the velada, the mushroom ceremonies. And so for about a year and a half, I was attending the ceremony, the veladas, every single month with a student of his who was running them, and I noticed the formula of the velada, of the mushroom ceremony, was very much the first hour or two was like this descent into almost like the underworld space, and then it gradually began to get higher and higher and higher until you reached like the healing space, and then everything smells like roses and Florida water, and just that overnight descent, almost like what they call like the dark night of the soul, where it's like the descent and then the resurrection. And so I realized that the formulas of a lot of these plant medicine ceremonies all follow this similar formula of like going down into the depths to decompose or separate from what was no longer needed, and then coming into the light and into that healing space to have this like resurrection, or reborn type experience. And
Wait,
and that's just what I see. That's just like what I see every ceremony, whether it's the Wadatka or whether it's the tipi ceremony. It's like that resurrection each day, and you go through whatever you got to go through that night. You receive whatever you need to receive, and it's just like you're stepping into a new reality, like a new world in the morning.
absolutely. No, you described it perfectly. And I was going to say that's we have a concept for that in the Nahuatl culture. It's called tlazoteo.
Glasoteo.
Tlazoteo. It's been misconstrued by many people, but basically the essence is that the earth, it's kind of like the whole idea, like you're saying, like compost,
Yeah.
like what rises out of the what's already been alive and decaying comes
Yeah.
the new fresh seed. That's where the seeds
Hmm.
germinate. And this is an important concept, both individually and for humanity, because yeah, a lot of people point to the fact that, oh, there's been a lot of wars, there's been a lot of destruction of the earth. Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's the end of anything. No, it means that we should develop a new awareness out of all of this that's
Yeah.
been happening, and refocus technology for the good of humanity. I mean, all right, so, the United States spends 65% of its budget on making weapons. Like they spent like $4.2 trillion last year on fabricating weapons of mass
Yep.
destruction. I'm like, come on,
Yeah.
man, can we change this picture a little
Yeah.
bit?
Totally.
Like,
Yeah.
haven't we seen enough destruction? Haven't we seen enough, murdering people? Okay, let's forget. And it's the same with people. Sure, you've done things wrong, nobody's perfect. But how do you take all that experience? How do you take everything that's happened and twist it around, turn it around, develop it, recycle it,
Yeah.
and come up with a new perspective, a new genius, a whole new species, And this is the thing. I know personally, I've gone through different things, whatever you could say, relationships or, different jobs or whatever, life. And each time I always take the positive.
Yeah.
I have the peyote has taught me a mantra. It's called impeccable positivity.
Yeah.
And I'm always positive, and people they don't understand it. Sometimes they say I'm in denial or I'm bypassing or something. I go, no, no. They go, you're denying the I go, no, I'm not denying it. I'm just letting it lay there,
Yeah.
let it go away, let it turn back
Yeah.
into the earth. I'm trying to focus already on what's coming next, I don't need to think about that anymore. I don't need to talk about that anymore.
Yeah.
And they think it's not healthy. I tell them, hey, well, look, I don't have gray hair. I'm still feeling good. I'm not, I don't know what you're using, but I like this idea of getting rid of all of that negative experience, and let's move forward.
Sure. Yeah. It's a real thing. It's like whatever you focus on, you become. And that you can apply to anything in your life, whether it's your work, your own self identity, your relationships with others. It's like whatever you choose to focus on and make the center point of your awareness in the moment. That's what you're fueling into your prayer of life. That's what you're fueling into the creation of your life.
and more so in the ceremony. So
Big time.
if your future participants or anybody that's thinking of going to a ceremony, I'm mentioning this because a lot of people don't realize it. They come to the ceremony and since they haven't had this orientation, of course the peyote will take you down the memory lane, and you'll start seeing all kinds of stuff, and it's so vivid, the body doesn't know if you're actually just remembering or living it, and people can get really emotional for all the things that happen. But you
Yeah.
need to understand that if it's showing it to you, it's showing it to you so you could put more love in that situation.
Yeah.
Go back in that situation and put some forgiveness, put some healing, recover what you were lost, recapitulate,
Yep.
breathe in your dignity, breathe in, get rid of the hurt. You have the fire there. You can get rid of all the pain. The fire will
Yeah.
take it, transmute
Yep.
it. If you lost something, what is it that you lost? It's all here now. You have the
Right.
fire, yet whatever you think you lost, you can get it back in that night.
Yeah. Yeah. It's you. That's a very good point. That was something that both you and Rudy said that really stuck with me um, this year with going to ceremonies. It was whatever you're thinking about when that tobacco is being lit, like that's your prayer. That's your magnification of like what you're creating in your life. And so even now, if I smoke tobacco or some cannabis, I'm like very intentional with like what I'm actually focusing on in that moment, because it's the way that I see it is like these plants, these medicines, they're of the earth, and as a result of it, they have life force in them, and they have energy, and they have qualities and potency. And so if you're imbibing that into your own consciousness, well, you're not just having the spirit of that plant, but you're then also filtering through the lens of your own focus, of your own attention. And so it's magnifying it even more. That's why some plants are medicines to people that help them heal and see and create a betterment of their life, and other people who are so clogged up and so disassociated from their own natural state, it just brings them into a totally different world. So
Yeah.
it's so powerful. Yeah.
Well, before these plant wasn't called medicine. Like this is a modern
Sure.
word
Yeah.
because because people weren't so messed up. Before people used it just to have like a greater awareness and appreciation for
Yeah.
life, for more
Yeah.
loving, to go hunt, to go plant the corn, to give thanks to the rain, to go to the
Yeah.
oceans and leave offerings and the volcanoes. And it was just
Sure.
used to, and also, like I said, they used it for constructing beautiful cities and
Yeah.
civilizations and
Yeah.
ways of life, like very communal, very loving, very down to earth, no pollution, no weapon, no war. You see, when people have enough food to eat and water to drink and a place to grow their crops and a little house, they have no need for war.
Zero. Zero.
And the native people had so much food. I mean, just think about it. Beans, corn, squash, pumpkins, tomatoes, chocolate, peanuts, popcorn, avocados, so many I mean, the list goes
All
on
of
and
it.
on. Quinoa,
Yeah.
spirulina, chia seeds, amaranth, just so much food
Sure.
readily available, chilies, they used to grow cotton, five colors
Yep.
of cotton. They had so much a relation with the plants. They could see which plants were good for this, which plants were good for that. They had a love for the earth, for the plant. They didn't have banks. You know what they had? Soil.
Yep.
They didn't have monetary systems. Somebody tried to tell me that they used to use cacao beans for money. I go, man, take that somewhere else. Just take it somewhere else. I mean, don't tell me this because it doesn't make sense. What they valued was soil, fertile
Mm.
soil. This is that whole concept of tlazoteo. They used to make fertile soil, grow healthy organic food, eat that, eat medicines, celebrate life, love the children, respect the elders. There was like no need to go killing anybody. That's what I realized.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I realized. I was like, why are we trying to fight people? Let's just, what do they need? What do they want? The native people used to make groups of people. They still call them postecas, and they load up with baskets of seeds and plants. And if somebody was having a hard time, they would actually go and show them how to create
Mm,
irrigated land and how to grow crops. And this is how they would expand the civilization,
yeah,
both north and south, hunting techniques. They would manage the animals. They had buffalo for days, deer for days, fish for days. The salmon would come up the ocean, from the ocean into the rivers. They could see which salmon were going to expire
yeah.
by the coloration.
Yeah,
And they would just take those, they would let the other ones spawn. They take those out, dry them for the year. The other salmon would just go back to the ocean. There was no intrusion upon the natural way of life.
yeah,
And the main thing people need to do is how to produce their food. And this is what I was telling the people over there in Dubai. Well, why don't you guys get into some kind of magnificent food production
yeah.
techniques? You have all this technology. Start producing food on a natural, good food on a mass level, without destroying the environment like they're doing in Wirikuta with these tomato greenhouses,
I know. Yeah,
destroying all the land where the peyote grows,
yeah.
with GMO and all this just to sell tomatoes to somebody so they can make pizza. You know?
Yeah, that's the thing that I keep that's like it's so prevalent like whenever I go to the desert, because I'm in the middle of my pilgrimage right now, and it's like every year you just hear about some you know some foreign corporation that is trying to exploit the minerals, the land, whatever it is. And it's like they don't see how perfect the earth already is. You don't need to set up, you don't need to have a greenhouse in a desert. Like, that doesn't make sense. There's literally places where these plants grow abundantly, seasonally, and they're like, well, the land is cheap out there. It's like, well, who are we to be putting prices on land? You know, because of a piece of paper that somebody drafted up 200 years ago because they put a flag on it. It's like it's insane.
Yeah. No, I have like you're asking how it helped me,
Yeah,
medicine. Like I have a different understanding about the material world. Like I don't really believe I own anything.
yeah. Just borrowing rent. If
Just
that.
enjoying
Yeah,
things. Like I give away a lot of guitars. I play guitars, music, and sometimes when somebody needs a guitar, I have a lot of guitars. I'm like, go ahead, take that one. Whatever. The drums, feathers. I like to keep things
keep it
flowing.
moving. Keep
I
it
don't like
moving.
I don't like to amass a lot of material things, and I think some people think they're supposed to. Like even art, whatever. Okay, I like to keep things moving, keep things flowing. I mean, that to me, that's the word of being affluent, is
Yeah.
to make sure, yeah, more things come to you, more things go through your hands.
Let's just talk a little bit about the ceremony and kind of what to expect. If you want to share a little bit about like Nosara, just as like the place. I personally, I just view it like the pictures just look like heaven there.
Yeah, Costa
Um,
Rica. Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Costa Rica is an interesting country for two primary reasons. One, they don't have an army, they don't have military, they don't have a navy, they don't have marines. They basically don't have to spend money supporting military structure. Two, they're very ecologically minded, and they protect their beaches, they protect their rivers, they protect the animals, and they've made certain laws that really demonstrate this. So, like Nosara, the beaches, there's no there's I think one grandfathered hotel from like 30 years ago or something. But basically the beaches don't have like buildings coming all the way up to them, like this. And there's no private beaches. It's very like natural in that
Yeah.
sense. And yeah, there is a lot of development recently, what to do. I mean, like a lot of people with money see the opportunity. So Nosara also has like these really high-end hotels and restaurants,
Yeah.
like really good food, like and it's developing originally as a yoga kind of wellness center city.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's yoga, there's meditation, there's, acupuncture, all these wellness centers. And then more recently, it's become the site of like sweat lodges and ceremonies and medicine retreats and,
Mm-hmm.
all of this. So now it has all of these characteristics, a very natural setting, really nice people, the ticos, Um, it has all these other factors, and it's become what can you say, like a little mecca for
Yeah.
because it's also in this blue zone. This blue zone means that people live longer. Nicoya Peninsula has been identified as a place where people live. Like there's a lot of centurions,
Mm-hmm.
so it's also in a blue zone. So this is some of the things about Nosara. Um, what else can I say? I don't know. It's the time. When are we going to be there in March?
Yeah, March 15th through the 21st
Okay,
is
so
the retreat dates.
so that's not in the rainy season because there's March, April. Yeah, the rain starts in April, so it'll be kind of like towards the hot days. So they should bring a lot of shorts and swimming gear and
Perfect.
tank tops. It's gonna be hot. I think it's gonna be
Yeah,
hot. Yeah,
awesome.
beach time. Yeah,
That's
we're gonna have their retreat within walking distance to a very beautiful beach.
yes, that was a big point for me. I thrive when I can get into the ocean every single day. That's like why that's like the main reason I live in California still is just because of that proximity there and good beaches here. But I'm looking forward to that. Maybe I'll rent a surfboard if you got some extra ones down there. I think that'd be fun. Uh,
Yeah, where we're staying, they have a bunch of surfboards.
Perfect,
Yeah,
perfect.
because
So,
I know. Yeah,
well, you're a big surfer too.
I just surf the internet. I don't. So I just.
Okay. Well, so I'll share a little bit about the intention of the retreat and the ceremony, and I build my I don't say build, but I orient my life and my business moves around the equinoxes and the solstices. And I started doing that in 2018, and I just noticed uh, profound shifts would occur. There was something that felt very magical and organic about operating within the natural cycles of time and space and Earth, and these like energetic windows that kind of open up at these times to really allow this this like seasonal force to really almost like you're riding a wave. It's like the earth has this natural shift of energy at these times, and you can orient different actions, intentions, or styles of living that you want to cultivate during that time. And you're working with the earth rather than against nature. So that's a really big intention for that, is to bring these entrepreneurs, because it's just going to be a group of 10 people, maybe a couple more depending if we, how much we sell out here in the next month or two. But bringing these entrepreneurs to experience a very powerful time of Earth, like a very natural time, and to give them the opportunity to reorient their life, their business, their vision for their life uh, through the healing and through the wisdom that the peyote can bring, and also to help bring them into a more natural way of living. Because I believe that entrepreneurs have the power to change the world and help it grow and evolve. I think what we've seen with capitalism over the past 150 years has been it's swung the other way. But I also believe that same creative force can be used to make the world a much better place. And that's why, I'm theming it around business owners who want to come experience, the natural cycles of time and space and the medicine that has personally just changed my life.
Yeah, we live in a cyclical, uh, energetic environment. When they show you the solar system, they show the Earth just kind of going around in a circle around the sun.
Yeah.
But really, we're going through space.
Yep.
Really, it's a cycle. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And this is the mentality. This is what they teach us. That word is called ko, ko,
Cool.
ko, like that. Ko. This
Cool.
means the spiral. This is the first thing they teach you before they teach you number one.
Mm.
Before you learn the number one, because that's the individual. First, you have to learn that there's a universe and it's
Yeah.
spiraling. So you have this basic concept that there's cycles, and every year there's four major cycles, points on that cycle, which are the equinoxes and the solstice, the winter solstice, the summer solstice, and the two equinoxes, the fall and spring equinox. And these are like benchmarks of the entire cycle of the year.
Yeah.
And so these were always um, points of time that the native people, for example, in Chichen Itza, if you see the pyramid there, the temple, the Teocalli,
Yeah.
they have a carving of Quetzalcoatl coming down the side of the structure, and only on the equinox it completely illuminates. In other words,
Mm.
this construction was designed to harness the energy of the spring equinox and the
Yeah.
fall equinox.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's something in there because the ancients were so precise in their understanding of time that they had what we call a perfect calendar because they took into account the quarter day that leap year compensates for in the Gregorian calendar, and they honored the four directions. They honored the four directions. So each year they honored a different direction, and they compensated for that quarter day, that
Yeah.
365 and one quarter day. See, so
Yeah.
they were very precise in their understanding of time, and the equinoxes and the solstice were always viewed as very energetic portals
Hmm.
for inspiration and for expanding. What it does is it lines up. You see, like all the heavenly bodies are there's certain alignments.
Yeah.
And when things are aligned, it's like stepping stones across like stepping stones across a pond or something. In order to get over there, things have to line up.
Yeah.
And this is the way it is with the energy of the earth and the sun and like this. So yeah, to put the ceremony it's in that particular time frame is going to be very beneficial for all the participants.
And so, tell us a little bit about what we can expect in the ceremony, because I think the people that I know are coming have not been to a tipi or peyote ceremony.
Oh, well, good. It's always good to get people to come for the first time because um, I'm sure they've probably nowadays heard a little bit about, the whole culture. But anyway, we'll just say that we'll take it from the assume that most of the people don't have too much experience. So first of all, we're going to do a sweat lodge, and a sweat lodge is using the natural elements to for purification and for healing, cleaning. It's like a cleansing. It's kind of, well, you could call it what do they call it? A sweat bath or kind of like a
Oh,
sauna.
yeah.
It's
I
compared
don't.
to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't like comparing those, but I get the point. Yeah.
It's going to get hot and it's going to be
Yeah.
steamy. Yeah. And we're going to sing songs. So this is the first thing, to kind of cleanse them of any kind of toxins or negative energy in this. And then we'll probably do some movement like yoga, qigong, dancing, things like this to get their physical energy more aligned. So that when we go to the ceremony, they'll be able to sit up and be more clear and focused. And of course, the peyote we serve uh, on kind of like an individual basis. And by this I mean if people are real sensitive, we might give them like maybe a small amount. And if people look like they're, physically ready for something, then maybe we'll give them a little larger amount, like this to start out with. Then as the music continues, if people don't feel something, well, then of course we're going to give them more. If they're feeling a lot, then we're going to keep an eye on them and kind of keep them, under a good observation, and
Yeah.
like this. And then as the first part of the ceremony, as we said, it might take you into some memories if you have. Like I always tell people, don't necessarily go into anything, but if they come up, then you can.
Okay.
So continuing with this, with the what to expect.
Yeah.
The night is going to be divided into different sections, and we'll be taking breaks during the evening. The first part is going to be with the traditional water drum and the rattle songs, and then we're going to pray over some water, and then we'll probably play some guitar music. We have some very talented participants that are going to sing some very nice music with the guitars and the, djembes and things like this. Do some dancing, and then we'll refocus again on the intentions. Everybody will have an opportunity like to really think about their intentions and what they want. And then we'll probably do some more singing with the water drum, eat some more medicine, and do some more prayers, and then give some more blessings. And we'll probably continue like this along this route, so where people keep increasing their yeah, the whole experience. It kind of keeps going on a higher vibration, until the sun comes, and then we'll kind of wrap it up, and then we give everybody a nice flower blessing,
Yeah.
and a nice flower blessing with more music and chocolate peyote and like this. So, I mean, I don't want to tell too much. I don't want to ruin the movie.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin the movie for everybody.
It's all I'm gonna say is that whoever comes is going to have a beautiful, life-changing, awe-inspiring, night. That's all I'm gonna say about that. I think I'm excited to listen to you and Delphina's music again. That's like a staple in my home is the Corazon. Uh, it's not. Is it
Luminoso.
Luminoso?
Yeah,
Luminoso.
Corazón
Yeah,
Luminoso. Yeah.
yeah. That's a beautiful album. So
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to this. I think it's gonna be a good time. And then the next day we'll have some decompression, and we'll send the flowers off into the ocean, right?
Yeah, yeah. Are we gonna? How many ceremonies are we gonna do? I'm sorry, I hadn't looked at the schedule, but is it one? Is
I
it one peyote ceremony?
Yeah, I think we're just doing the one peyote ceremony.
Okay,
So
all right,
so
that's
you
great.
know,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, hey, maybe we'll check in with Delphina. Maybe we'll do two. I don't know. We'll see what the flow is. I am on board for that personally myself, but we'll
Well,
we'll see.
sometimes sometimes maybe we'll do one for the gathering that we're doing. But it may be very possible that there's more ceremonies going on in the neighborhood.
Perfect. I'm planning on staying for at least another 3 to 5 days after the
Yeah,
retreat.
so there just might be another ceremony. Of course, the surfing on Guiones Beach is some of the best surfing in the world. So I don't know if we're going to be able to pull you off that beach once you see those waves, man.
Just maybe 1 or 2 days is all I need. 1 or 2 days is all I'll need. So awesome. All right, Kuauhtli, I appreciate you spending some time with me today and sharing all your stories. I'm stoked that everyone's going to get to meet you and that we're going to be able to come together and hold that space and introduce people into a new way to maybe for them a new way to pray, a new way to live life and experience that flowering heart.
Great. Thanks, Taylor. We have Delphine and I, both of us have websites. I don't know if you've already shared them in your group, but Kuauhtli.com is mine. And yeah, I have some music on there, some other, like you were saying, Hamilton, different things on the social media.
I'll
But
I'll tag
yeah,
I'll tag you in Delphina's websites and all the notes and everything
yeah.
and get people connected to you guys.
I'm a very personal person. If people want to, reach out, I like that, sometimes people don't want to talk in a group or whatever. I'm always happy to listen to some people say, yeah, but I have a particular thing I want to talk. Okay, sure, that's fine too. I'm open to all that too, because I'm very like, like I said, I'm very personal. I like to see people develop, and sometimes you need to know their personal story in order to help them out.
Totally.
Hmm.
Totally. All right. Well, Kuauhtli.com and Delphina Moon, right?
Yeah, Delphine Moon.
Delphina Moon. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
All
Well,
right, Taylor. Well,
we'll see you. We'll see you in March, my friend.
yeah, if we don't see you before.
I know you guys are going to be in Texas. We'll be having ceremonies on the same night though, so that's nice. We'll be in
Oh,
a good line.
maybe I should mention I have in on December the 5th here in Texas. If somebody wants to come to a ceremony prior to that, which wouldn't, might be beneficial but anyway, I'm having a ceremony here close to San Antonio on December the 5th, if anybody's interested.
Perfect. I've got a
Okay.
couple of friends out in Austin that I'll send your way.
There you go. Yeah, they might want to join.
Awesome.
All
Cool.
right.
All
Okay,
right,
Taylor.
man. Thank
Big
you.
hug. Much love, man.
You too.
Okay.